A stern message to the bureaucrats of India. The Modi government sacks 15 more senior tax officials for facing graft charges. This comes after the sacking of 11 officials last week for the same reason. The ruling National Democratic Alliance nominates Kota MP Om Birla for the post of Speaker. 10 parties extend support. Congress says it will not oppose Om Birla's candidature. The army neutralizes 2 militants involved in the Pulwama terror attacks. Both were killed in an encounter in Anantnag district today. Mamata Banerjee decides to skip the meeting of presidents of all parties called by Prime Minister Modi tomorrow. She says that extensive consultations are needed before taking a decision on one nation, one election. A special court convicts 4 out of the 5 accused in the Ayodhya terror attack case of 2005. The 4 terrorists have been sentenced to life imprisonment. Good evening and welcome to India Watch. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. On this show, we bring you the biggest headlines from India, the latest updates and unbiased analysis as always. As the world watches India, it's important to set the right narrative, and that's what we've set out to do. In the next 30 minutes, we're bringing you up to speed with India. And we begin with the latest from Jammu and Kashmir. The army secured a major win today. 2 terrorists linked to the Pulwama attack were gunned down in an encounter that had been on for hours now. They have been identified as Sajad Bhatt and Tausif. Both belong to the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terror group that took responsibility for the Pulwama attack of yesterday. Sajad managed the vehicle that was used to attack the CRPF convoy. Tausif was its handler. 1 army Jawan was martyred in the encounter. Reports say that the security forces launched an operation after they received some intelligence. The search operation turned into an encounter after these terrorists fired upon the forces.
मैं समझता हूँ कि सजाद की जो इसमें न्यूट्रलाइजेशन है, इससे इस एरिया में जो जैश का टेरर नेटवर्क है उस पर काफ़ी हद तक फ़र्क पड़ेगा। तौसीफ जो है वो माना जाता है कि वो इसको इनरोल करने में उसका हाथ था, मिलिटेंट रैंक में शामिल करने में उसका हाथ था, और तौसीफ भी काफ़ी देर से एक्टिव मिलिटेंट जैश-ए-मोहम्मद का चल रहा था। इन दोनों के न्यूट्रलाइज हो जाने से इलाके में जो टेरर नेटवर्क है वो काफ़ी हद तक अफेक्ट होगा उसके ऊपर, और जो हमारी एफर्ट्स हैं सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस की सबकी मिल कर के कि इस एरिया में और पीसफुल एनवायरनमेंट जो है वो पैदा किया जाए। दिस इज़ अ गुड स्टेप टूवर्ड्स दैट डायरेक्शन एंड वी वुड कंटिन्यू टू बी doing the CI operations in that area.
This operation comes just 24 hours after the terrorists tried to attack an army vehicle near Pulwama. 2 soldiers succumbed to injuries in that attack. Several others were hurt. The attempted attack happened when troops of the 44 Rashtriya Rifles were on the move. They were near the site of the 14th February attack, where a convoy of CRPF personnel were targeted by a suicide bomber. The army described Monday's attack as a failed attempt. The damage was minimized as the patrol party was on alert. Improving the security situation of Jammu and Kashmir will be a challenge for the BJP government in its second term at the centre. One report claims that 10 security personnel were martyred in the last 10 days in different incidents. Jammu and Kashmir has been on high alert in recent days. Some reports claim that Pakistan had raised the threat of a possible attack in Pulwama. They had shared intelligence apparently with India and America. Reports also say that Pakistani intelligence claimed that the Al-Qaeda was planning an attack. They wanted to avenge the killing of Zakir Musa using a car bomb. Zakir Musa launched and headed an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Kashmir. This was after he left the Hizbul Mujahideen. He was gunned down by security forces in the month of May. So clearly the terrorists are following a new template. The Indian Army personnel were attacked with a car bomb, a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, IED to be specific, something that was used in the Pulwama attack in February as well. This is a critical time for Jammu and Kashmir. The state is preparing for the Amarnath Yatra next month. The Election Commission is also looking for a window to hold the state assembly elections. Reports say that they would like to hold elections in Jammu and Kashmir before the onset of winter. It's the end of the road, it seems, for Jet Airways. The consortium of Indian banks that took over the airline has given up. They haven't been able to find a buyer for the airline out of options, they have now decided to send Jet Airways for bankruptcy proceedings. This means that the assets of Jet will now be sold off to pay off the lenders. The result, the company's shares nosedived by 41% today. Reports say around 300 crore of investor wealth was wiped off. Jet Airways was grounded on the 17th of April this year. Facing a cash crunch, the airline never took off again. Jet has a debt of more than 8,000 crore rupees. The downfall of Jet Airways has left more than 15,000 of its employees stranded and jobless. But a sale of the airline cannot be completely ruled out. The SBI-led consortium has received only one conditional bid. The bidder wants some exemptions from market regulator SEBI. Now, the consortium feels that a possible deal can be worked out better under the bankruptcy laws. But it is possible that the deal might not happen at all. The future looks bleak for Jet. And the downfall of Jet was a big blow for its founder, Naresh Goyal. He and his wife were forced out of the company in the month of March. Naresh Goyal now faces more trouble. Some reports claim that the Income Tax Department recently summoned him for questioning. This is over claims of irregularities at Jet Airways. Last month, Goyal and his wife were stopped from flying to Dubai. Jet Airways was India's first premier airline. Its grounding has huge implications for the commercial aviation industry. Let's take a look at some of the immediate repercussions. The flyers will be the first ones to feel the pinch. Prices of air tickets have shot up. But the downfall of Jet was good news for other airlines in some ways at least. They see this as an opportunity to increase their capacity, fly on more routes and cover more destinations. Some rival airlines have even hired Jet employees at huge salary cuts. But the big prize is Jet's time slots. After Jet Airways ceased operations, more than 400 slots were vacant in Delhi and Mumbai alone, and Jet Airways operated internationally. This is a great opportunity for other Indian airlines to ramp up their international operations. By and large, the Indian aviation industry is witnessing a reset. While it is an opportunity for other airlines to expand, the industry at large is feeling the pinch as well. Airport operators, fuel suppliers and other vendors have lost a major customer in Jet. This is a difficult time for around 15,000 of Jet employees. While Jet going the bankruptcy way, they face an uncertain future. Other airlines may not be able to absorb all of these employees from Jet Airways. Rapid expansion of other Indian carriers may help, but it will not happen overnight. In fact, an expansion attempt may throw up new challenges. Pilots, crew members, engineers, they may face more pressure. An extension of operations can add to their working hours and raise their stress levels. Ultimately, it could affect the travel experience of customers like you and me. Now, this is a story that we've covered extensively, the ongoing water crisis in India. Last week, we termed it a water emergency and pointed out how the reservoirs in India are fast drying up. Now, Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu, is in the middle of a crisis. The 4 main water reservoirs have run dry. The city is looking up at the sky for solutions. Residents are at the mercy of water tankers. Restaurants and IT offices have closed. Disputes over water have led to violence in the state. One activist has been killed. Groundwater levels have plunged to unseen lows. The city of Chennai is at a standstill. People say that if the rain fails this year, Chennai is staring at a catastrophe. Hotels and businesses are being suspended. One of the oldest areas of the city, Triplicane, situated near Marina Beach, used to be a hub of bachelors. Mansions in this area gave a shot at life for many people migrating from rural Tamil Nadu. Now, thanks to the water shortage, the mansions are getting shut down one by one.
என்னன்னு கேட்டால் இந்த டெய்லி ரூமு போடுறதுக்கு இப்போ ரொம்ப யோசனை பண்ண வேண்டியது இருக்குது. காரணம் என்னன்னு கேட்டால் தண்ணீர் பற்றாக்குறை. முன்னாடி கார்பரேஷன் வாட்டர்லாம் வந்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கு. இப்போ கார்பரேஷன் வாட்டர்லாம் அதிகமாக வர்றதில்லை. அதனால இந்த டெய்லி மந்த்லி ரூமில் இருக்கவங்களுக்கு தண்ணி கொடுத்தாகணுமே அப்படிங்கிறதுனால இந்த டெய்லி ரூம்லாம் இப்போ அதிகமாக போடுறது கிடையாது. ஆனால் முன்னாடி இந்த மழைநீர் சேகரிப்புன்னு ஒரு திட்டம் போட்டிருந்தாங்க. அதை ஒழுங்காக ஃபாலோ பண்ணியிருந்தால் நம்ம இடத்துல தண்ணி இருக்கும். இப்போ இதுலேயும் வேறு எம்எம்டியில் வந்து என்னென்னு கேட்டால் இந்த 1+2 அந்த தான் லிமிட் இருக்கணும். இதுக்கு மேலே 4 மாடி 5 மாடின்னு கட்டி வச்சுருக்காங்க. இதுவும் இந்த இதில் அரசாங்கத்தில் செஞ்ச ஒரு தப்பு. இதனால அதுக்கு தண்ணி வசதி பத்தலை. எத்தனை பில்டிங்கள் இருக்கோ அதுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி தண்ணி வசதி, ட்ரைனேஜ் வசதி இதுகளை அரசாங்கமும் அதை பண்ணலை. இதையும் நார்மலாக ஃப்ரீயாக விடுறது.
லாஸ்ட்டு 1 இயராக தண்ணிக்கு ரொம்ப பிரச்சனை. இப்போது ஒரு 1 மந்த்லேருந்து சுத்தமாக தண்ணி கிடைக்கல. போர் தண்ணியும் கிடைக்கல, லாரி தண்ணியும் கிடைக்கல. அதனால இப்போ ஒரு அடுத்த மழை வரனது வரைக்கும் மேக்ஸிமம் டெம்பரரியாக க்ளோஸ் பண்ணி வைக்கிற மாதிரி அது நோட்டீஸ் போட்டிருக்கு. லாஸ்ட் வந்து நமக்கு சுத்தமாக அது மந்த்லி பேசிஸ் தான். கிட்டத்தட்ட இப்போ இந்த லாஸ்ட் டைமில் ஒரு 40 பேர் இருந்தேன். எல்லோரும் காலி பண்ணி போயிடுச்சு. அதனால் ஃபுல்லாக இன்கம் ஸ்டாப் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஏன்னா சுத்தமாக யாரும் இல்லை. அதனால
What does the IDMK government say? It has held meetings with senior officials to address the emergency. The government says it is supplying an additional 2,400 million litres of water daily. It is clear that the government is using these figures to put the blame on the rains. But it is evident that the Tamil Nadu government was caught napping again. Predictably, the political games have begun. The DMK wants the Municipal and Rural Development Minister to quit. And the state government as well sought financial assistance from the centre. It's simplistic to reduce the ongoing water crisis to just one locality or a state. That would be far from the truth. Last month, the Modi government announced a drought advisory to 6 states. A drought advisory is issued when the water level in the reservoirs is 20% less than the average live water storage in the past 10 years. In simpler terms, it is a crisis warning. The fact is that every summer, water levels in reservoirs drop. But the delay in the onset of monsoon has made things worse. Analysis shows that nearly 42% of India is abnormally dry this year. Last year, that same figure was 36%. Pre-monsoon rains have been poor. The rainfall deficiency from in the first 10 days of June is 45%. Let me explain my point further with data from some states. In Maharashtra, for instance, the government has deployed nearly 6,600 water tankers to meet just the drinking water needs of parched regions. This is over thrice the number of tankers deployed last year. As usual, the Marathwada region bore the brunt, but northern Maharashtra and western parts of the state weren't spared either. Groundwater is needed for irrigation. A drop in groundwater means that the harvest is at risk in Maharashtra. In Rajasthan, people are struggling to get access to drinking water. More than 13,000 villages have no access to safe drinking water. Groundwater levels are plummeting. People are at the mercy of water tankers. Many of them are locking them up. Such is the water scarcity in the country, and the government is busy forming expert committees. It's time to ask why there is a water crisis in India, even in water surplus states like Uttar Pradesh. Schemes such as rainwater harvesting, replenishing groundwater, protection of dams and other water bodies have not been implemented with the seriousness needed. The result is more and more states in the country are at the mercy of rain gods. The water emergency is a reality in India. And this is an issue that has alerted economics, politics and social understanding of countries. Population is a crucial marker, the one indicator that has an impact on almost everything else. So why are we discussing population on the show? Because there is a significant report from the United Nations. It has released the World Population Prospects 2019, and the highlights say this. This report estimates that the world's population will rise by 2 billion by the year 2050, in the next 30 years. It says that by the end of the 21st century, the world will need to sustain 11 billion people. Right now, the global population is 7.7 billion. By the end of the century, 11 billion. That's the global bit. Now, the figures for India are even more alarming. India is expected to overtake China in terms of population by 2027. In less than 10 years from now, India is among the 9 countries which will see the largest rise in population between now and 2050. India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Indonesia, Egypt and the US. These are the 9 countries that will make up for half of the projection of growth of global population by 2050. The report brings some glaring facts to the fore. Population fall due to falling fertility levels is balanced by increasing life expectancy. But one thing is for sure, several countries are likely to see a reduction in population. The age demographics is also a significant factor. By 2050, 1/6 of the global population will be more than the age of 65, and that figure is far lesser now. Now let's focus on India's figures alone for a moment. India's population, according to the 2011 census, is 1.21 billion. The current estimate is 1.37 billion people. The next census will be carried out in 2021, about 2 years from now. While India's population will rise, China's population is expected to drop by 2.2%. That is nearly 32 million between now and 2050. In the same time, India will add 273 million people. Now, rising population brings both opportunities and challenges. In fact, the issue of resource crunch was brought out in a tweet by the CEO of Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant. He pointed out that India has 16% of the world's population, but only 4% of water resources. This inadequacy could be extended to other necessities of life as well. What are the consequences of this population expansion then? 1, the government needs to ensure the availability of usable water and food for more citizens, many more citizens. 2, agricultural production needs to increase to provide for all these people. 3, essential services like education, healthcare, affordable housing, all of these things need to be rescaled to suit the demand. Population growth cannot always be viewed as an adverse thing though. Rising population will increase the market potential of a country. Labor potential could also bring economic growth. But the one thing that India really needs to work on is the issue of demographic dividend. As of now, close to 30% of India's population is below 14 years of age. That's a good number. The working age group, that is 15 to 59, constitutes 62%, more than 62% of the population. Only 8% of India's population is above 60 years. And this demographic dividend started in 2005 for India. It will last till 2055. A country's economy grows when it has such demographic figures. Has India used its young population then to its advantage so far? The jury is still out on that question, but Indian economy is robust. The growth story looks solid. Creation of better jobs, distribution of essential services, creation of sustainable solutions to solve everyday problems like water. These are the absolute necessities. India has to start work on reducing its population too. Population control programs have yielded results in some states, but they've failed in others. There needs to be incentive-based programs to control this growing population. There is a resource crunch, a shortage in water and food. Agricultural reforms are needed too to feed another 27 crore people in the next 30 years. And there is no better time to start than now. Let's look at some positives too. It's a story that demonstrates the rise of India as a digital power. According to government data, there has been 4-fold increase in the payment of online bills over the last 5 years. And this spike has come from rural and semi-urban areas of the country. Common Service Centers data, or CSDS, shows that customers paid nearly 2,000 crore rupees of electricity bills online. There were 1 crore transactions done for these payments, and this is a remarkable rise. In 2014, the number of transactions stood at just 25 lakhs. It's not just the electricity bills. Insurance premium renewals have seen a growth by 6 times. Now, you may ask, what are these Common Service Centers, or CSCs? These are shops that act as physical access points to avail government and business services. They're present in almost all the Gram Panchayats in India. Common Service Centers are available for services like banking, like PAN cards, passport applications, even IRCTC tickets. There's been a sharp jump in transactions there as well. In fact, the total value of these transactions amounts to more than 64,000 crore rupees since 2014. Private consumers contributed to digitization gains. But that's not all. Public services also contributed to digitization in India. In fact, Aadhaar-enabled DigiPay application saw the steepest growth among these transactions, more than 12 crore transactions. And this, again, is a remarkable rise. The government has encouraged online payments and remains committed to the cashless regime. The rise in these online transactions is a standing proof of the impact of the online push by the centre. And finally, a few days to go for the International Yoga Day. Yoga, which is often called India's gift to the world, has gained global acceptance over the past few years and has become very, very popular. The practice of yoga has been around for nearly 5,000 years. Here's how the world is getting ready to celebrate the International Yoga Day. We're leaving you with this. Thanks very much for watching.
say to one and all, friends, I've been a student of yoga for the last few years. While my practice is still going on, one little fact that I've always liked about yoga is that you could do the practice at any time and at any place.
This event is really a symbol of how do we push back against the craziness of our world and the craziness of our lives.
Everything is crazy. Even in the yoga studio, there's traffic outside and stuff like that.